right, good afternoon. So we are going to go over exercise one out of the Learn by Practice from CAD Artifacts. And I'm going to demonstrate for the class how I drew it. You guys should have been able to complete this over the weekend, so let's jump into it. I'm going to start by opening a sketch. I'm going to make sure that I am in millimeters, grams, and seconds. And I'm going to take a look at this blueprint real quick just to see what we're doing here. And I'm going to start my sketch in the front plane. So I'm going to open it up like this. And then I'm going to start with my line tool. And from here, I'm going to click on the origin. I'm going to go up about 24 millimeters and then over 72-ish. And then I need to look at this. Let's see. So we need about 11 from here. Come over about 23. Come down about 13. About 12-ish. And I locked in a relation there that I'm going to have to get rid of because it's going to give me a hard time if I don't. And right here, exit out of my line tool here, is this coincident line that I drew in here. You know what? We'll leave that alone because that looks like that's going to be pretty good for us. But I did draw in here, and I think this line has it. No? All right, well, we'll see what we get here when we go to do this. So I need to dimension everything, and I'm going to dimension that to 24 millimeters. I'm going to dimension the overall length to 72. I'm going to dimension this to 12 millimeters. And then from here to here, I will dimension that to 37. And we'll dimension this one to that one. We're going to mention this one to 23. And the only thing keeping us from getting a fully defined sketch is this right here. So I'm going to make those collinear on here. Oh, I see what we're missing. I'm still missing a dimension here. So we're going to lock that in at 13 millimeters. And now we have a fully defined sketch, as you'll see down here. So we can go ahead and extrude this. So I've talked a few times about extruding and kind of looking at the blueprint to see which way is the best way to extrude this. And I'm going to extrude this towards me only because there's a rib that goes on here. And when I go to draw that rib in there, it's going to make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and do my extrude boss base. And I'm going to extrude it to me blind at 60 millimeters, just like so. And I'm going to leave that at that. So now that we have our first part of our drawing, I am now going to open up a sketch on the top plane. I'll leave that right there like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this line and I'm going to convert that into a piece of geometry. And then I'm going to do a perimeter circle here, and I'm just going to kind of draw this out like so, and like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, like so. Okay, so I've got two of them. Get a tangent circle, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I lock in a relation right here. I'm going to make that horizontal, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here with this one. Make that one horizontal, so it locks it in place. The distance between those should be 60, and if I do this dimension here, take a look at it like so, and you'll see that it's 60, and it's saying, hey, do I want to make this driven? I don't need it in there. I'm just verifying that it is actually there. And then the radius of these two circles, get out of this real quick. I'm going to make both of these circles equal. And then I'm going to dimension this one to 36 because it has a 18 millimeter radius on it. So both of those are now locked in. And then I need to draw in 2 more circles, and they are going to be a diameter of 18. So I got to draw a circle here and here. Make both of these equal to each other. So, and then make these 18. Like so. And then what I need is I need a line. So, take it out of there. And then I'm going to make that 12 millimeters from here. Like so. And then I'm going to trim out everything that I don't need. Trim that out, trim this out, trim that out, trim that out, and now I have a sketch. And we're going to extrude that up. If I rotate this around, you'll see that because of the way I drew that, when I drew that on the top plane, it drew it down here. I need to extrude that a distance of 36 millimeters. So we're going to do an extruded boss face. We're going to make that 36 millimeters like so. And we are done. Excuse me. All right. So I'm going to go back up normal 2 to the top because we do have another section in here that we need to do. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to convert that. Oops. Go back into my top and open a sketch. And then I'm going to click on this, convert it, and then I'm going to click on that. I'm going to convert that. And then I'm going to convert that line. The only thing that I need to do now is draw myself a line here, like so, and then I can trim everything out that I don't need, like this. Now I have a fully defined sketch again, right here, and according to our blueprint, that needs to be extruded to a depth of 12 millimeters, so let's change that real quick to 12. That is done. And then I'm going to open a sketch on this surface because we have a slot that needs to go in there. And for this one, I'm going to go to my straight slot tool, and I'm just going to kind of draw it in place right now. And then I'll dimension it here in a second. All right, so right now, for the bottom right here, we need to be 12 millimeters, or excuse me, 25 millimeters over, and we have to be 22 millimeters up. Let's try to get that there. 22 millimeters, like so. The centers for our slot here need to be 9 millimeters apart. And then the radius for that is 8 millimeters. So let's go ahead and make that 8 millimeters. Now we have a fully defined sketch right here, so everything is good. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do an extruded cut. And I'm just going to say blind on this one and hit enter. So now I have a slot in there. Now the only thing that I have left to do is to add a rib, and I'm going to go back into the front plane. I'm going to open a sketch, and what I'm going to do here is I have to draw a line where this rib is going to go, which is right here. Right click and select to get out of there. Now I could draw all this in right here and then extrude it this way, but we're going to do a rib so I can demonstrate to you how to do one. So I've got my little bit of an isometric view right there right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the features tab, I'm going to go over here to where it says rib, and I'm going to click up here on rib, and then I'm going to look at what I got. Now, I don't want to go in two directions, which is what I have selected right now. I want to go one, and then I want to pick the correct side that I'm going to go in. And the thickness of this rib needs to be 12 millimeters, so we're going to do that. And we're going to make sure that we are extending our rib in the right direction. It looks good, which is down. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my green check mark. And now I have a rib. Pretty simple. Now the only thing that we have left to do is to add our material, which is AISI 304. So I'm going to right click on material. I'm going to click on edit material, which is going to bring up my different materials. I see AISI 304, so I'm going to click on that. I'm going to hit apply, and then I'm going to close this out. You'll see that it's changed the color of my part. And then what I want to do is I want to go to markup, or excuse me, evaluate, and I'm looking for mass properties. So we're going to click on mass properties, and I'm going to bring this over here. And what we're looking for is right here is the mass. And according to our book here, we are supposed to be at, excuse me real quick, sorry, I'm touching the microphone. Let's see here, we should be at 1174.40 grams. And we're not. You'll see that we are a little bit high right here. Still a little bit high. So let's find out why. And I already know why, because there are supposed to be 2 fillets in here that I did not put in, and that will change the weight here in a minute. So let's go ahead and add that. There are 2 radiuses of 5 millimeters that we have to put in here. So I'm going to go back to my features tab. I'm going to go to fillet. I'm going to put in 5 millimeters right here, and then I'm going to select where I want those 2 fillets to go. I'm just going to rotate that down like so. I'm going to rotate that down in there. I'm going to hit my green check mark. Now I have 2 fillets. My part is complete. And let's go back over to evaluate and go to mass properties. And now we are at 1174.40. That's what the book tells us that we should be at. So we have done right by the drawing. All right, so that's a good start right there. Now, when you're doing the CSWA test, that's one of the things that you need to look for. Your numbers should match exactly one of the 4 options they give you on the very first sketch. That's kind of your tracking point on there. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to put this normal 2, and we don't have to blueprint in the CSWA, but for the class, I'm going to take you into blueprinting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this, and I'm going to save this as YouTube, if I can spell. I'm going to put that as YouTube video, and I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to open a new document, and I am going to open a drawing. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to leave my part open while I do this. So I want to do this in landscape, so I have that selected, and I want to display all display sheet format. So I'm going to hit OK, and then I have my part right here. So I'm going to double click on that. And then I'm going to drag my first view over here like so. I'll draw one here, one over here, and then we'll do an isometric view like so. And then hit my green check mark, and then my isometric view, I can pretty much drag wherever I want, but these others are locked into place. Now I can bring this closer to my front view, but I can't move it left or right because it's locked in here. And then I have the same thing here. I can move this left or right, but I can't move it up and down. So if you remember our projection planes from our blueprint class last semester, That's where that comes in at. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this drawing, and right here is it shows visible or hidden lines in here. I'm going to turn those on, but I don't want them on for everything, so I'm going to turn them off on this sketch. Excuse me. I'm going to turn it off on this sketch right here. Oops, nope, don't want that. I want that like that. And I'm going to turn it off on this one as well. And then we're just going to leave our hidden lines visible on these two sketches. And now all we have to do is go through and start dimensioning everything. So here we'll just go into sketch, we'll go into our smart dimension, and the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of zoom in here. This right here needs to be 24. So I've got that in there. I don't want any decimal places after the number. And then I'm going to go to leaders, and I'm going to go to custom text position, and I'm going to turn that to where that number is facing up, like so. And then if I want my arrows here inside, I can click on that, and it will put them inside, and I kind of like that view a little bit better. So we're going to do that just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And we'll go ahead and make all of our changes here. And now we want to keep those outside. And we'll do a custom text position or text position. And we'll fix this here. So make that look good. Now all we're going to do is just go through and do the rest of our dimensions. And I'm going to go ahead and put down everything that we need, and then I'll go back and fix them as I need to. So leave that right about there. And we need one right here. And then I need one from here to here, right there. Dimension here. I'm just dimensioning this like we see in the blueprint from the book, which I didn't give you guys a blueprint, so just put these in like that. Well, I gave you a blueprint, but I didn't give you the book. You don't have the book, so you don't see that. Oops. We got to get rid of that one because we don't want that at an angle. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that one and redo that real quick. All right. Oh, what are you doing? Why do you keep doing that to me? All right. It's always an interesting day when stuff happens. There we go. All right, we're good to go. Now I need to do one here. And then they have a dimension here. And then they have a dimension here. 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 There. Dimension here. That should, nope, nope. And I need one from here to here. And one here. All right, so now that I have all these in here, I'm just going to go ahead and fix everything to the way I want it to look. Exit out of here and click on this. We're going to go to none for our decimal places, and then I'm going to go here, put that in there like so. Let's kind of organize everything the way we like it. Here, here, bring these up a little bit. We'll make changes to it. We'll get it look the way we want here in a second. Right now we're just going to fix everything, and then we'll organize it. little bit different here. This right here. Do this one. Going through this really quick. Turning all my dimensions around. Make it easier to read. Taking out all of our decimal places. Same thing here. Custom text. That, and then here I'm going to go with this radius, and then I'm going to go with this one where I get the little bent line right there, and then no decimal places. Here, same thing. Change that up. So right here, break line. So decimal places. Almost done. We're on a roll. There, change that like so. And then the last one that we have to do is this one. Do that right there. Turn that around. And no decimal places. Now we can kind of just move everything around the way we want it. Just kind of getting a good look for everything. We need to make some changes to this because in the blueprint it calls out for 2 of these on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right here where it says dimension text, and I'm going to type in 2, capital X with a space. You'll see that it changes everything in there when we do that. I'll hit OK, and there is one more dimension that I need to put in here, which is this one, and I'm going to put that one right here. Same thing here. This, and we'll do the custom break line like so. Same thing with this fillet right here. It says to call out 2x 2 times. So we'll do that right there. And then I'm just going to arrange that where I like it. Those are all good. That's good. I like both of those. Those look good. This needs to come in line here. And we're going to come out here just a little bit more. Get that lined up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this one out like so. And that looks pretty good. I kind of like that. Let's go down here. Let's change all of these. We still got to do our right side view, but for right now we're doing pretty good. I'm just going to go through here and get everything done the way I like it. And we'll organize everything. So about making it look the way you want it. Here. There. And there. And all right. More right here. Upside down. Kind of like the way that looks right there. That's good right there. That's good. Right about there. Anything else? Looks pretty good. What do you think? I like that. We got everything in there that we need. So the last thing that we need to do is dimension this here. And we have to put in the length of this, the height of this ledge right here. Again, we don't want any decimal places. And we're going to do our custom text like so. I kind of like the way that looks. Everything looks good right there. Got everything called out. All right, so last thing that we need to do is we just need to change our sheet format in here, change some stuff in here. So we're going to click on sheet format and then edit sheet format. And I'm just going to click inside of this here, and it's going to open that up. I'm going to change that to 12 millimeters. I'll leave it as Century Gothic bold. The only thing that we need to do here is just kind of, oops. Let's get this where we want it. That one right there. And then for here, I'm going to put in here, because we're doing this off of a CADArtifex. I'm going to go ahead and change this to Century Gothic like everything else. And you know what, we'll leave it that size. And click back in here. Get in there. There we go. And we'll do CAD art. CADArtifex like so. And I want to make this all bold, so we're going to click on that, make that bold. Click out of there. Last one we're going to do is our material, and we are AISI 304. So click out of there, and that's all we're going to do for changes to this. So we can exit out. We have everything in our blueprint that we want. Looks pretty good. We don't need to make any other changes, so now we can go ahead and save it. Saving it as a drawing. I'm going to keep it the same name as my part. I'll hit save, and then I'm going to save it again. Save as, and I also want to save it as a PDF file so I can print it easier. And I'll click OK there. And then I'll save it one more time. This is just me. I like to have a picture of it. Like so, and we'll put that right there. And we should be good with everything. We don't have anything else that needs to be changed. So we are done. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Or ask me in class. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you all later.